Hi guys, I'm David with Media Unlocked, and a lot of you guys have been asking me for a Canon T3i tutorial. So what I've decided to do is give you a Canon T3i tutorial. So in video 1, part 1 of this, it's going to be a 3-part series. We're going to go over some of the basic setup things with the Canon T3i. We're going to go over the dial system, and we will go over the buttons on the back. Actually, the buttons throughout the camera. So we will cover in part 1 dial system, all of the buttons, and a few other things, kind of like where's your battery go, how to take your lens on and off, where's your SD card go. Very simple stuff. As well, I'll talk a little bit about aperture, shutter, and ISO and how to set those so that you have an idea of how to do that when you have your camera in manual settings. So that will be part 1. Part 2, we'll put the camera in the dial mode in M. We'll go over the complete menu system. So anybody out there that's wanting to know what everything in the menu does, we'll be going over that. And then finally, in part 3, we'll be going over the complete video system. So we'll be talking about all the functions within the menu about video, and then all of the buttons that pertain to shooting video with the T3i and getting the best quality video possible, depending on what setting you're in. So that's going to be the 3-part series. So let's get started. First thing, let's show you how to take your lens on and off. If you notice, there's a button right here. You're just going to push that down. Now once that's pushed down, you're going to rotate your lens to the right and then pull out, and now your lens is off. Now if you notice, there is a red and white dot here. Now if you have a lens with a red dot, that means that lens will work on a full frame camera. If you have a lens with a white dot like mine, that means it works on a crop sensor camera only. Actually, I will show you what I have a full censored lens right over here, and as you guys can see, this has a red dot on it. So that means that this lens right here, the 28 to 75 that I have right here, will work on a full frame camera. So again, you just push this button, turn to the right, pull out, and then to pop it back in, you line up the white with the white, and then click in. So there you go. So that's how you put your lens on. Second, SD card slot is right here on your right side of the camera, and you just push down and pull out. And then when you want to put your SD card in, push in and it locks in. And the last thing I want to go over is where you put your battery at. Batteries go right here at the bottom. All you do is there's a little switch right here, pop that, your battery's out, you can push it right back in. Other really cool thing they put on the Canon T3i, and I can't remember if this is on the T2i as well, you used to have to push a pin to get this part out. So if you want to put a battery grip on, well, guess what? You just pull straight out and it pops straight back in. So it makes it very easy, very simple to pop your battery cap on and off. So if you wanted to use a battery grip. Okay, so that is kind of the very basic stuff, as well as you can pull out this. I'm sure most of you already know that have a T3i. So this is pretty nice. If you're wanting to shoot, you can pull side to side, you know, or you could pop it back in right there like that. So doing ISO, shutter, and aperture. So I'm going to show you that. It's really simple. ISO, if you notice, there is a button right here. It says ISO. You push that button, and then you'll be able to select which ISO you want on the back of your screen if you're shooting in manual. As far as shutter is concerned, you're just going to move the dial right here. So if you notice there's a dial right here, you just move that dial, and that will make your shutter go up and down. And then for aperture, if you notice this little AV button right here, and we're going to go into more depth over this. This is just real basic stuff. There's an AV button right here. You will press the AV button, and then you will use the dial, and that will be able to control your f-stop or aperture, pushing the AV button and the dial at the same time. All right, guys, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up, and we're going to go over the dial functions. We're going to go through the manual functions first, and then we'll go into the automatic functions. So I'll catch you guys in a minute. All right, guys, let's go over the dial system. First one is your A depth dial. Now what that is your auto depth of field. You have control of your ISO and your white balance. You do not have control of your aperture or your shutter speed. So the camera will automatically figure out what your aperture and shutter should be based on your ISO when you're taking a shot. Now this shot is great for people that are trying to learn how to get that depth of field to maybe where you have a subject in front of you, but you want everything in the background to be blurred out. This is a setting you want to put it on till you get more comfortable with the M setting. Next will be our M setting, which is our manual setting here on the Canon T3i. This allows you to have full control with no restrictions on getting your exposure the way you want it to. It's pretty much the only setting I use, and I absolutely love it. It allows you to control your aperture, shutter, ISO, white balance. So this is a setting I mostly keep on. This, again, takes all your restrictions away. You can get the perfect exposure composition that you want. So by the time I'm done going over this video with you guys, you will know how to change your settings. You just have to practice till you get comfortable with your settings and you understand what kind of exposures you're trying to get. This is the setting you want to be on. So this is a great setting. Throw it on in, practice a little bit. If you can't figure it out, you can go back to the automatic setting. Next is going to be our AV. It's the aperture priority setting. Now, in the aperture priority setting, you will have control over your f-stop. You will have control over your ISO. You will not have control over your shutter speed. You also have control over your white balance as well. So you will be setting your ISO and your f-stop, and then the camera will automatically figure out what your shutter speed should be. Next is going to be our TV setting. Now this is shutter priority. In this one, you do not have control over your f-stop, but you do have control over your ISO and your shutter. So it's going to manually or automatically set up what it thinks is going to be the best f-stop. And then you will have control over your ISO and your shutter. So this setting is great for like sports. So once you get your ISO set, and say you're at a soccer game and you can't get your f-stop, and you can't get your f-stop the way you want it, and your shutter isn't exactly how you want it, you could throw it in the TV setting. You could get your ISO what you want it at. It will automatically figure out your f-stop, and then the shutter speed, you will have control over that. And the higher the shutter is, the more movement it will capture and pretty much stop. The lower the shutter is, the more blur you get in the shot. All right, so next is our P. Now this is our program. This gives you control over pretty much your ISO. It's going to allow you to pick the lighting that you want, and then it will automatically figure out what your shutter and aperture should be. So that's the program mode. Now these are all settings. These first 5 settings allow you to have a lot more control over your shots than the next few settings coming up. All right, guys, let's go over the automatic settings. So the first one is your green with a green A, or green box with an A in the center with a plus. What that allows you to do is take automatic pictures. It will pop up the flash if it thinks it needs it. It's pretty much 100% automatic. So you don't have to do anything whatsoever. Underneath of it is, again, another automatic setting, but what this does is it cancels out the flash. So if you don't want to use the flash in your shot, but you still need to take an automatic exposure because you're not comfortable enough with manual, with the M mode, this is going to be a great one for you because it won't fire the flash, but it will still try to give you the best possible shot without a flash. This is your creative mode. It's just another automatic setting. It's similar to being fully auto, but not completely. Next is your portrait. So if you want to do a portrait type shot, it's going to try to set up the best possible settings for portrait. Landscape, again, it's going to give you the best possible shot for a landscape. Close-up. So if you want to do a close-up shot, you need to go automatic. Again, this setting will allow you to get the best close-up shot possible automatic-wise. Now, if you want to do sports, the guy with the little running icon, this is great. So if you're doing soccer or basketball and you just want to do automatic, you don't want to do any manual settings, then little guy running is going to be great for you. Night portrait. So if you're shooting at night or a lower light time and you still, again, need to do an automatic shot, this is going to be great for you. And then our last one is the video settings. Now, we're not going to go over any of the video stuff till part 3 of these videos. So next, what we're going to do, now that we've run through all of these functions here, I am now going to run through all the buttons and what they do on the camera. And then in part 2, which will be our next video, we're going to go over the menu settings. We're going to put the camera in M, the M mode, and we're going to go over all your menu settings. Well, let's start with the top of the camera. Of course, you guys know this is your dial. Now you have an on and off button right here, so you can switch your camera on and off. You have what's called a wheel right here. Let's see if we can't. So there's your wheel. You use that to do your shutter and your aperture. If you're in manual mode, you would actually use the wheel. If you need to change your shutter, you would just do this, and if you wanted to do both at the same time, like I showed at the beginning of this video, you hold the wheel down, you hold the AV button down, and now you have control over your f-stop or aperture. Of course, here is your picture taken button. Push that button and it will capture you a photo. So if you do a half press and you've got your lens set up in, you do a half press and you got your lens set up in, let's see here, see if you guys can see that. I've got it in MF mode, which means manual focus. Let's switch it to AF. So now it's in autofocus mode. So if you push, and let me just focus in, and if you push this halfway down and it's in the AF mode, it's going to autofocus your shot. So half press, autofocus it, full press takes the picture. And then you have your display button. So if you push your display button, that can turn your display on and off. So that is the top of the camera. I guess to say something right here, if you guys have ever wondered what this is, for people that have, I believe, prescription glasses, you can use this to get your, when you're looking through the viewfinder, up here, you use this to adjust it so that you can see the best, so it is the clearest when you're looking through there. It's very clear. If you need glasses and it's very hard to have glasses on and try to look for the viewfinder, so hopefully you'll be able to find a setting through that viewfinder, and therefore you can take your glasses off when you're shooting with the camera. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to jump to, I guess let's go on and do the side right here. Let me just focus in here. All right, so you have an HDMI port here and your AV cables here. So if you notice, there goes a mini HDMI right there, and then you have an AV out, and that's where you'll hook up the cords that came with your camera if you need to hook up to like a TV or something. And then right here, you have a mic port and what's called a plunger. And if you ever need to do something off the camera, like you're ramping your camera all the way up, the shutter all the way up to bulb, and you're trying to take a shot in a darker lit area, a photo, you would use the plunger to hook up so you don't have to touch the camera, so you don't get that shakiness when you're shooting. All right, well, let's hop to the front of the camera right here, and we'll go over those buttons. And I thought I'd just mention right here, this is where you would take your flash. So if you're ever in manual setting and you need to pop your flash up, you push this button. Let's see if my camera's on here. And let's throw it in manual. And you push this button, and your flash will pop up. So if you ever need to take a shot with the flash, then just hit that button right there. Okay, guys, this is the back of the camera. We'll go left to right, I guess. You have your menu button here. So if you need to go in and do some stuff in the menu, you can just do that by hitting the menu button. You have what's called an info button. It gives you a little bit of information. Say, like, I've taken a photo here, as you can see. It gives you a little bit of information here, makes the photo smaller here, and gives you a lot more information. Gives you a little less information, but it's showing you your kind of histogram. And then you've got, if you don't want anything on your picture at all, if you just want it to just be a complete picture after you take it with no information on it whatsoever, you have that option as well. So that's how you do that. Next, we'll jump over to your live type. So if you want to take a picture and you actually want to see what you're taking before you take it, through this screen right here, you can do that by hitting this button. This also is the same button you use to record video, but we'll talk about that later. So we'll push that. So then you have all this information back here. If you ever want to go in and change the information here, you just hit your Q button here, and then you can go in, and it gives you information too, because I've got the help mode turned on right now. And if you go to any of these things, it just gives you a little bit of information about what each one of these is. The ones you really need to care about is your ISO, f-stop or aperture, shutter speed, and then what setting you're in here, which I'm in the M mode, which is manual mode. Hit Q again, that takes you back out. You got the AV, again, if you hold AV and do the dial, that will allow you to change your aperture or f-stop. And then you have these buttons right here. Now this is your autofocus button, or your focus points button. So say I wanted to take a shot of someone, I wanted to focus on just the center. I have that option. Or if I want to focus on taking a picture over to the right, and I want that to be in focus. So these points pick where the camera will be most in focus. All right, and if you really want every point, all 9 of those points, there you go. And now all 9, so it will take the information from the whole entire picture and try to make the whole entire picture in focus, not just a specific spot of the picture. And then you also have your zoom tools here. So if I wanted to go look at my picture again, I wanted to zoom in, I can zoom in, I can float around the picture if I want. As you notice in this bottom little corner, it's me just going around the picture. And then there you go. Okay, now you have, you also have a delete button down here. Any Magic Lantern users know what the delete button's all about. They probably use it all the time. Any non-Magic Lantern users, well, it's just a regular old delete button. And then I just click that and then set if I wanted to erase it. So your set's kind of like your enter right here where it says set. It's kind of like an enter button. So let's go over everything that's on this dial right here. First, you have your white balance. You have auto white balance, daylight, shade. You can kind of pick which, say you're outside and you're shooting in a cloudy day. You maybe want to go to the cloudy day setting on the white balance. If you want to do a custom white balance, you can do that. There will be a link that will pop up right now for the custom white balance video. So if you want to know how to custom white balance, then click on that link and you can watch the custom white balance video that I've shot. Okay, so white balance. Right here you have your focus points. You have one shot, AI focus, AI servo. Again, we're going to go into those more in depth in video 2, so don't worry about that. Then you have your picture style. Now this allows you to pick what kind of style you want to take your picture. So you have the option to do like an auto, standard, portrait, landscape, neutral, faith, monochrome. I have my own setup. I think I just have, hold on, let me go back to that picture style. Info. So if you hit the info button, it'll allow you to control it. I just have my sharpness set at, you can go in, you can do this. So if you notice, and I have my sharpness set at 3 from the bottom, as you can see. So you hit set. If I want to go in and make my contrast a little higher for the shot, you can have control over that. I have the rest of these set at 0. You can also get custom picture styles that you can have imported into your camera if you want to do that as well. So that's the picture style I'm using at the moment. You can pick which one you want, or you can kind of tweak these or mess around with them until you find the contrast that you like with these. And then you have your shot. So you single shot, you want to take continuous shots. You have a wireless remote, you can do that. Self timer. So if you push this, it's going to 2 seconds in, boom. And then the last one is a self timer. I think it does it for 9 seconds and it takes up to 10 shots, if I'm not correct. Let's see here. We'll do 9, we'll pick 9. It goes up to, 10 shots. So we'll say, okay, we'll take a picture. It's going to give you 10 seconds. You got 10 seconds to set up for your picture, and then it's going to take 10 continuous shots after that. So if you're doing like a family portrait and you want everybody to do some crazy stuff, it's going to go in and take shots. And I don't know why. Oh, I guess I didn't set it. We'll push OK. We'll do it one more time. Should be set to 9 or 10 this time. So we'll wait another 8 seconds. Well, this is great. So if your family wants to do a bunch of crazy shots or whatever, every time it clicks, just change to the next shot, and you guys can do different things. As you can hear it, I just did a burst of 9 shots, and there you go. So that is part 1 of the Canon T3i. The next time, which will probably be a week before I put out the next one, we're going to go over all of your menu settings. So we're gonna work our way through all these menus. It's going to take a little while. Again, these are going to be kind of long videos because there's a lot of information to go over here. So we're going to go through all of these next time, and then on part 3, we'll flip this dial all the way down to video, and we'll kind of walk through all the video settings. So anyways, again, thank you guys so much for stopping in and checking out this video. Check us out on Twitter at DavidDImages, as well Facebook at DavidDImages. And if you really like these videos, go on and hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you. We got a lot of great stuff coming out. You guys have a great day.